Supreme Overlord Exalvor of the Draxian Empire stood on the command deck of the Inevitable Dominance, his flagship dreadnought measuring 20 kilometers from bow to stern. Through the panoramic viewport, the blue-green sphere of Earth hung suspended against the blackness of space, looking deceptively peaceful from this distance. "Such a pathetic little world," Exalvor remarked, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the command deck's harsh lighting. His forearms were folded across his ceremonial battle harness as his compound eyes assessed the tactical display. "Tell me again why this backwater planet requires our personal attention." Grand Admiral Krilsek, his second in command, manipulated the holographic controls with practiced precision. "Intelligence reports indicate they've developed rudimentary faster-than-light communication capabilities. Protocol dictates all such species be evaluated for potential integration or neutralization." "Integration?" Exalvor laughed, a sound like grinding metal. "Look at their military capabilities." The holographic display shifted to show Earth's combined military forces, aircraft carriers, fighter jets, tanks, and infantry units. "They still use chemical propellants and combustion engines," the Supreme Overlord continued. "Their most advanced weapons are thermonuclear devices with yields measuring in mere megatons. Primitive. Our smallest scout ships could eradicate their entire civilization." "Nevertheless," Protocol the Grand Admiral began. Yes. Exalvor waved a dismissive claw. "Send the standard ultimatum. Give them one planetary rotation to surrender unconditionally and prepare for Imperial rule. And if they refuse," the Supreme Overlord's mandibles clicked in amusement, "then we'll give them a small demonstration of Imperial power. Something proportionate to their insignificance." In the underground command center beneath Geneva, the United Earth Defense Council gathered around a holographic representation of the massive alien vessel now in high Earth orbit. Military leaders from every major nation stood shoulder to shoulder, previous geopolitical divisions forgotten in the face of an existential threat. General Li Wei of the Pan-Asian Alliance studied the data scrolling beside the alien ship's image. The vessel masses approximately 500 million tons. Energy readings suggest weapons capabilities beyond anything in our arsenal. Their ultimatum expires in 3 hours. "Have they responded to our attempts at diplomatic communication?" asked Director Cheek Ndaa of the African Union. "Only with that same automated message," replied Secretary General Helena Schmidt. "Surrender or face immediate consequences." They seem uninterested in dialogue. Admiral James Harrison of the North American Federation leaned forward, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the display. "Then we activate threshold protocol." A heavy silence fell over the room. "Are we certain that's necessary?" Schmidt asked quietly. "We've had the technology for less than a decade. The ethical implications alone." "With respect," Madam Secretary Harrison interrupted, "we've monitored their communications. This Draxian Empire has subjugated or exterminated over 300 civilizations across this galactic sector. They see us as insects to be crushed or enslaved. Diplomacy isn't an option they're considering." General Lee nodded grimly. "The quantum entanglement arrays are primed and synchronized. Strike teams are on standby." "How many personnel are we committing?" asked Field Marshal Valentina Petrov of the Eurasian Confederation. 12 operators, Harrison replied. 4 teams of 3. Director and DIA's eyebrows rose. 12 people against that. He gestured toward the massive alien vessel. Admiral Harrison's expression remained impassive. "That's all we need." On the command deck of the Inevitable Dominance, Supreme Overlord Exalvor watched the countdown display with growing impatience. 17 minutes remaining in their deadline, Grand Admiral Krulsek observed. "Still no response to our ultimatum. Prepare a demonstration strike," Exalvor ordered. Target their largest military installation, this Pentagon structure. A precision orbital lance should suffice. No need to waste antimatter on such primitives. Supreme Overlord called the sensor officer, his voice betraying confusion. I'm detecting energy fluctuations within our ship. Specify, Krillsec demanded. Unknown readings in sectors 7, 12, 19, and 23. They match no known phenomenon in our database. Zalvor's mandibles clicked in irritation. Internal sensor malfunction. Run a diagnostic and… The Supreme Overlord never finished his sentence. Where there had been empty air beside him, 4 human figures suddenly materialized, seemingly out of nowhere. They wore form-fitting black combat suits with minimal tactical harnesses. No heavy weapons, no bulky armor, just sleek, efficient equipment and small sidearms. Before anyone on the command deck could react, one of the humans, a woman with a lieutenant's insignia, raised her hand. A barely visible ripple of energy pulsed outward, and every Draxian on the command deck found themselves completely immobilized. "What is this?" Zalvor managed to say, discovering he could still speak despite being unable to move. The human lieutenant approached him, studying him with clinical detachment. "Targeted chronometric stasis field," she explained matter-of-factly. "You exist in a different time stream than the rest of your ship now. For you, seconds are passing. For everyone else on board, microseconds." Another human, this one, with captain's insignia, approached the ship's main console and placed a small device on its surface. "We've never actually deployed quantum displacement operatives against an alien target before," he remarked conversationally. "You should feel honored. You're making history." "Impossible," the Grand Admiral sputtered. "No species at your development stage could possibly have mastered quantum teleportation, let alone temporal manipulation." "Yet here we are," the lieutenant replied with a thin smile. "While you were busy building bigger ships and stronger weapons, we took a different approach. We focused on understanding the fundamental nature of reality itself." The captain finished interfacing with the alien systems. All teams report successful insertion. Critical systems accessed. Displacement charges planted. "This is absurd," Zalvor hissed. "You are primitives. We've conquered worlds that would make your Earth seem like a pebble. Our empire spans half this galaxy. And yet you still think in terms of conventional warfare," the lieutenant said. "Ships, weapons, troops. We moved beyond that paradigm decades ago." The captain nodded to his team. Phase 2 complete. Initiating withdrawal. The lieutenant addressed Zalvor one final time. "For what it's worth, we did try to establish peaceful contact. Your automated systems rejected 73 separate communication attempts. When we failed to report, the Supreme Overlord threatened, the entire Draxian armada will descend upon your world. Trillions of soldiers. Millions of ships. You cannot stand against the Empire." The humans exchanged glances. "Should we tell him?" one asked. The captain shrugged. "He won't believe it anyway." As suddenly as they had appeared, the humans vanished. 5 seconds later, every Draxian ship in the fleet, from the massive dreadnought to the smallest support craft, simultaneously disappeared from normal space, displaced into a pocket dimension from which there was no return. In the Geneva Command Center, Admiral Harrison received the final report. "All targets neutralized," he announced to the Council. "Operation complete. Total elapsed time, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. Secretary General Schmidt closed her eyes briefly. "And the Draxian personnel?" "Contained, as discussed. The pocket dimension will sustain them. If they develop a suitable ethical framework and peaceful intentions, future generations might be permitted to rejoin normal space." "They'll be back," General Lee warned. "Their empire will send more ships when these don't return." Admiral Harrison shook his head. "Our quantum arrays have already mapped their entire empire. Displacement teams are deploying as we speak. By this time, tomorrow, the Draxian Empire will exist only in a series of contained pocket dimensions. Field Marshal Petrov let out a low whistle. All this time, they thought we were developing nuclear weapons, fighting among ourselves. A useful misconception, Harrison replied. One we've carefully maintained for decades. Director NDIA studied the now empty spatial coordinates where the alien fleet had been. What happens when the next empire comes calling? Admiral Harrison's expression remained impassive. They should probably be more polite.